Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. A local representative was at the Vatican when the Pope apologized to residential school victims. We have an update on the freeze store at Shway First Nation. Finally, the paving at Yale and Hawking is underway, and the Chiefs' playoff drive has begun. Josh Bohr with sports, that's coming up later in the show. Our special guests this week include Métis elders Pixie and Louis de Jaeger, as well Michael Berger and Tim McAlpine with Tedx Chilliwack. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started and our top story. Last Friday, jaws dropped when Pope Francis issued a formal apology on how young people, in fact, people in general, were treated and abused in residential schools in Canada at the hands of members of the Catholic Church. Assembly of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit all had delegates go to the Vatican to explain why this issue was important. Pixie Wells is the acting president of the Fraser Valley Métis Association and traveled to Rome with gifts for Pope Francis and made her case to the pontiff. chillTV had the honor of interviewing her and Métis BC leader Louis de Jaeger. That interview is coming up later in the show. Shway Free Store has been in operation since last August, and it's considered a success. The organizer, Raylene Mumford, telling chillTV that it's been very busy every Sunday since it first opened. First Nation elders are served first, and then anyone else who needs free groceries, toiletries, or perhaps clothing can simply come by and choose in a store setting. Now, on average, they serve 225 to 250 people every Sunday, and they go through some 2,000 pounds of food and supply. Chilliwack Board of Education inviting all staff, students, family, and community members to learn more about the upcoming budget for the 2022-2023 school year. As partners in learning, your feedback is important, so you can join in Tuesday, April the 12th, 5:30 via Zoom webinar to hear how the district is looking ahead to the next school year. The intersection of Yale and Hawking has been a bone of contention for drivers since last November and the floods and the rains. Water and sewer main work was done, but everything was simply undermined due to the flood-related stability. So that patchwork, well, it is now underway with repairs. The milling and the paving is being done this week. The local literacy program that works with the Dolly Parton Foundation, Imagine Library Fraser Valley, and Natasha's Pies have joined forces to offer pies with purpose for this Easter. Now, Natasha Popoff, the founder of Natasha's Baked Goods, makes her famous pies at reduced rates. This as a fundraiser for this initiative. It puts books in the hands and the minds of students. Now, for more information, you go to the GoFundMe page, Pies with Purpose, or check out the social media for Natasha's Pies. Chilliwack Council had a couple of recommendations to pass this week. First was a commercial building adjacent to the YMCA on Hawking. Now, this will improve the efficiency of the Y, plus add more business space for the city. The other was to continue an alcohol consumption zone for Vetter Park. That pilot project was actually given the green light in 2020. Last year was the first year of operation. And by the way, there were no major complaints made to the city or the RCMP. The two Chilliwack MLAs, Dan Coulter and Kelly Padden, were joined by the Honourable David Eby, who is the BC Attorney General, and the Minister of Housing. This was last Friday to meet with local leaders. Mayor Ken Popoff and organizations were there to discuss solutions for housing. Discussion topics included the need for day shelters as well as more supportive housing. It was the first event of its kind in the Fraser Valley when it launched in 2006, and now the Chilliwack Tulip Festival is an annual tradition that draws tens of thousands of visitors from across the region as soon as the fields begin to bloom for their brief growing season. Now the Chilliwack Tulip Festival proudly returns for the 16th edition. It starts Monday, April the 11th. Organizers breathed a sigh of relief that the show would go on. Last year, due to the financial challenges of the pandemic, the Abbotsford show had to move to Armstrong in the Okanagan, but the Chilliwack show stays. Tickets for the Chilliwack Tulip Festival can be found on their website. Bringing together the biggest names in hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. That is the theme for the new 2022 BC Outdoor Show and the big return to Heritage Park. The show will showcase Something for everybody, including celebrity speakers, VIP events, outdoor activities, interactive displays, boats, all-terrain vehicles, RVs, and exhibitors. It's a great opportunity for networking as well, and it is at Heritage Park this weekend. Tedx Chilliwack is back on track for this Saturday. Tedx Chilliwack is a non-for-profit annual one-day event held in Chilliwack. Speakers share innovative and optimistic ideas with a community of open and curious-minded searchers for ways to make a difference. Now, Michael Berger and Tim McAlpine with Tedx will join chillTV in just a moment with a conversation about this year's events. And that's right after my interview with Louis de Jaeger and Pixie Wells, and we talk about what happened with the Vatican and the Pope's apology. And after the interviews, Josh with sports. chillTV's News of the Week in conversation with two very special people. You already know Louis de Jaeger with Métis BC. This lovely lady is Pixie Wells, who is now, I want to get the proper title, interim president of Fraser Valley Métis. More importantly, you were part of the delegation that went to the Vatican, and Pope Francis said what he said. I'm personally still taken aback that the Catholic Church, the Pope's on behalf of the Catholic Church said, yes, we apologize for what happened with the residential schools. Walk us through it. How did you end up on the committee and the delegation and you fly over that?
Well, how I ended up there, I'm really not sure. That's to be truthful. How I got chosen, I'm really not sure, but I'm honored and humbled to be asked to go over. Was asked to go over to give voice on behalf of my nation, and it was a very powerful moment for our survivors. For us, ones who were sitting there, it was exceptionally touching and heartfelt to see the survivors take that apology and accept that apology in a way that they felt that they deserved, but still waiting for the extra apology to come in Canada, coming home and sharing that motion with their families, and but also making sure that the Pope is coming to Canada to say their sorries over here as well.
The delegation was, correct me on this, Métis First Nation, full status, and as well as Inuit?
Correct. Okay. Correct. There was 3 nations over there, and as Chief Kelly so nicely put one night as we were breaking bread together, very strong people in the room, was that the 3 braids of the sweetgrass now is the First Nations, the Métis, and the Inuit, and we must stand united and stay united. Our message is stronger together. It's from nation to nation to nation, and it was a very powerful moment as well to be in that room with all of those delegates at that time that the Pope spoke, and walking out and acknowledging each other's nation, and that was a very strong moment. The Métis and the First Nations, we went first. However, on the day that the First Nations went, a lot of our delegation went to support the First Nations as well. So when they came out, they felt that support as well from the Métis and the Inuit peoples as well. So it was very strong. For me, that was the most important part. For me, was the cultural building and the capacity building. The Pope's apology is absolutely something that our survivors needed and needs to be done. We went over there to waylay the protocols and stuff when he comes to Canada, is sort of what we're looking for, and the expectations in our stories as to how much more apologizing needs to be done and where that gets to be taken to.
What were the other parts of the ceremony? I know Louis off camera showed me some video of some of the fiddle playing, and that was obviously ceremonial dance. How was that received by the Pope? Would cry, tears?
No cries or no tears. Originally, the plan was that we would all do a round dance, and we as delegations came together again, united, and said, no, we're going to give our own performance in our own way. And we fought very hard to make that happen, to have those fiddle players there, to have their own nations there and their own people. So it was very touching to see the First Nations go first and have their dance, and it was very touching to see the Inuit people get up and sing as well and play the drum. And then it was very touching at the very end to see to see the Métis fiddlers, young ones at that, just amazed the Pope, and the only one that's got a thumbs up, and you could tell his feet were moving underneath that white suit of his. So it was an inspiring moment, I think, for not just for the people in the room, but also for our youth to see that, our leader was very young and is young of our nation, and to see themselves in that you don't need to be old to be in power, or you don't need to be old to be a leader. So I think that was a very powerful thing too, and the way that she held herself and the way that she looked after our elders was impeccable. So I hold my hands up to our leader of our nation, and I hold my hands up to the whole delegation that held, and all the delegations that held their elders together. It was a tough trip for them.
And now up next is, I understand, is it July that he's coming? Do we have an exact date? Is that still being worked out?
From my understanding, he will be coming in July at some point. We're figuring around the end of July. He doesn't want to come in the wintertime. He doesn't want to come to Canada in the wintertime. And from my understanding, they still haven't quite solidified whether it's going to be 3 or 4 spots, but I think BC is one of the ones that was spoken about when he was speaking about it, because of Kamloops and being one of the largest.
Which, brings me to, with Kamloops, Wetaskiwin, were there any other sites, or any other sites have been mentioned yet, or is that still in the planning stage?
Sault Ste. Marie, and there's some back east that were mentioned. So I think it's still in the planning stages as to where he goes, and I believe that the 3 nations and the delegates are getting together again to make sure that we're finding the appropriate places for him to visit.
And this is a memory that you are going to cherish forever.
It's definitely a memory I will definitely treasure forever. Making history, to me, the most important part was the history of the apology, but also the history of the 3 nations coming together and binding together and keeping that united front. So, and from here on, I hope we continue to do the same.
And you are always welcome to be here. Pixie, a big thank you for joining us. Louis, thank you for putting this all together.
I'm, playing a supportive role, and we're all very excited to hear back from everyone who has been there, and, really prepare the families and communities for the work that lies ahead. So when the visit does happen, I think that's when a lot of real work and a lot of the motions are going to hit a lot of people. So we just want to all be prepared, and we depend on Pixie and other people who were there to help guide us on how that process is going to unfold.
The work has just started.
Yeah. Thank you both.
Hi, Miigwech.
And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV's News of the Week, in conversation with Tim McAlpine and Michael Berger and Tedx Chilliwack. And guys, we've got it back up and running. These last 2 years have been taxing on you as you're trying to organize. When was the last time we were actually in person for a TEDx?
Well, our 4th annual event was in 2019.
That's
yes,
that's right.
Spring.
Yeah.
It's hard to
You're
keep track.
thinking back, yeah.
And we did that at GWG, which is our biggest year yet. We had 300 plus people, plus an online audience, and we were all keen to go big. So we, as a committee, decided to go to the Chilliwack Cultural Center. We had April 10th, 2020 as our big event. And we all know what happened in March 2020. So we, postponed for a couple months and then a couple more, and it became clear it was not going to happen in 2020. So we postponed to 2021 because we would be clear of this pandemic.
Yeah, we thought.
And sure enough, we came into the fall or the spring of 2021 and decided to bump it. And so we committed to, we have to do it in 2020.
And here we are in 2022 now. So
yes.
So piecing this together, who do we have, and what is our theme?
So the theme this year is the same theme we've had all along. It's clarity. We had some of our speakers that we had originally chosen for 2020's event, and we've carried them forward. They've all agreed to keep working on it, and they have tailored their talks around the theme of clarity.
Now, the bills still have to be paid, and how is TEDx or any TED conference pieced together with sponsors and such? Who are the money people?
Well, folks are probably familiar with TED.com and the big TED conference that costs attendees thousands of dollars to attend. TEDx are TED-like events done at a community level, and they're not for profit. They're done in a volunteer state. We've had to collect more sponsorship in the past because we've done it at bigger venues and fed people and so forth. This will be a totally virtual event, so the costs are pretty low. Our sponsors, though, are Cowork Chilliwack, and we're doing it at Studio C, which is the studio there. Currency Marketing, chillTV has been a founding sponsor from the very get-go. 18th Camel and Scott McVetti, Remax Realtor, he's getting off the hook this year because he doesn't have to feed everybody, but he's instrumental. He's also headed up all of our coaching and speaker prep. So there are not too many bills, and we won't be in the hole for this one.
Now, for this year, coming up, when do we see it? How do we see it? How do we access?
So this year we're going to be online on our website, TEDxChilliwack.com, April the 9th, that's Saturday night, 7 p.m. It's supposed to be rainy, so you can stay inside, curl up by the fireplace, tune in to the show. Starts at 7 o'clock, and we will guarantee we'll be done by 8:30 at the latest.
And knock on wood, next year is a live event. Is that still a go?
Yes, the Cultural Center has been nice and allowed us to bump our booking. So we are actually going to be in person.
Yeah, exactly.
On April 23rd, 2023. And just a note about this year, do go to TEDxChilliwack.com and register. That way you'll get some alerts. You'll also be entered into a draw to win tickets to next year.
Okay, I'm in. So TEDxChilliwack.com.
Yes.
Make sure you put the Chilliwack in. Michael Berger, Tim McAlpine, big thank you for dropping by.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
And you're watching Chill TV's News of the Week.
Welcome back to sports, everyone. It's Josh here with you once again. Good to see everyone. You're looking great. Let's jump into another big week in sports. All right, soccer has been a big story in town over the last couple weeks, and now we have a new player in the game. As Tzeachten First Nation announced yesterday, they'll be launching a new soccer club in Sardis, aptly named Tzeachten FC. The new club aims to focus on inclusiveness and accessibility. And Tzeachten Chief Derek Epp told the Chilliwack Progress yesterday that, given Chilliwack's ever-increasing population, it was high time a new soccer opportunity came to town. In addition, they've announced that former Chilliwack FC head coach Glenn Wilson will be coming on board as Tzeachten FC's technical director beginning May the 1st. This comes after Wilson resigned from Chilliwack just a couple weeks ago, citing concerns about the direction of the club and its focus on elite-level training. Registration for Tzeachten FC's inaugural spring season will open up shortly for all ages, so stay tuned for more information on that. Charles Josh Cahoon was given 12 months in prison in a case where he stole $29,000 from the Chilliwack Giants organization. He was charged with a theft that occurred in 2018. Cahoon has a number of conditions associated with his sentencing, including not being involved in any other financial affairs. Interestingly, Cahoon was also charged with theft in 2 other cases over a decade ago while he was working as an accountant for 2 organizations in Kamloops. A trial date has been set for former Vancouver Canuck and KHL forward Jake Virtanen. Virtanen was charged with sexual assault in May of 2021, and his case is set to be heard by a judge and jury in the BC Supreme Court starting on July the 28th. July the 18th, that is. BC Prosecution Services approved 1 count of sexual assault against Virtanen in relation to an incident that occurred in Vancouver in September of 2017 when Virtanen was playing in the National Hockey League. Vancouver police launched an investigation in 2021 after the now 23-year-old victim came forward to police. The UFV golf teams played host last weekend, welcoming UVic Vikes, UBC Okanagan Heat, and the Calgary Dinos to Chilliwack Golf Club for the UFV Spring Invitational, presented by RMI Communications. The men's golf team fell victim, unfortunately, to a red-hot final round performance from the Victoria Vikes and settled for second place. But the women staged an unbelievable 7-stroke comeback in inclement weather conditions, might I add, rallying to win their home tournament. Congrats to the women and the men. Second place, silver medal, nothing to snuff at. All right, the Chilliwack Chiefs began their first-round playoff matchup against the Coquitlam Express this past weekend, with each team splitting their home games to leave the series deadlocked at 2-2 in the best of 7. Game 5 is in Chilliwack tonight, and Game 7, if needed, will also be in Chilliwack at the Coliseum on Sunday night. The 2022-2023 fishing season began on April 1st and will continue all the way through to March 31st of 2023. There are some rule changes, including on the Chilliwack and Vedder rivers, where there are revised no fishing boundaries and closure times in the areas of Slessie Creek, the Tamahai Rapids Bridge, and the Vedder Crossings Bridge. So good luck to all the fishermen out there. You don't want me out there. It'd just be a disaster. I just won't. All right, to finish, let's run through a few really exciting events coming up here in Chilliwack. We'll call this like the lightning round or something like that. Maybe I'll get a graphic next week. Who knows? Mark your calendars and get ready to lace up your runners because the Fraser Valley Healthcare Foundation and Garrison Running Co. are hosting the 24th annual Run for Mom 5K on Sunday, May the 8th. Run for Mom is a family-friendly 5K run or walk for athletes of all abilities around the Vedder Trail in Chilliwack. Funds raised from this family event will go towards purchasing much-needed equipment for the maternity department at Chilliwack General Hospital. And Fraser Valley Healthcare's Heroes Charity Slow Pitch Tournament is set for the weekend of June 11th and 12th at Abbotsford Exhibition Park. This fun-filled mixed tournament will host up to 24 teams for a weekend at the ballpark. Once again, money will go to the Fraser Valley Healthcare so that they can purchase equipment for local hospitals. All right, that is all we've got with sports. As always, if you have a story you want me to cover, talk about, promote what you're doing for sports in Chilliwack, send it my way, news@chilltv.ca. I'd love to talk about it. After the break, it's Don with the weather.
Chill TV weather, it'll be a mix of sun and cloud and the highs around 9. It's almost gardening season. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.